Shawna Benoit here, and today we're going to go over the counteroffer to or modification of the unaccepted original offer. This is the F249. This counteroffer is made on this particular time on this particular date. This is the timestamp showing when the counteroffer was created. This marks exactly when the counteroffer was made. This counteroffer to or modification of the unaccepted original offer identifies the original offer date, the property address, and that this is an unaccepted offer. A, previous counter offers rejected. This section says when you make a counter offer, you reject the original offer as it was written. You reject all prior counteroffers. The original offer plus prior counteroffers are no longer available to accept. Nobody is required to keep negotiating. A counteroffer kills the previous offer. You can't go back later and accept the old one unless it is reoffered. B, relationship between original offer and this counter. The original offer is incorporated by reference. It's still part of the deal. But if anything conflicts, the counter offer controls. The original contract is still the base, but the counter offer overrides anything it changes. C, effect of accepting this counter offer. If buyer and seller signed a counter offer and a copy is delivered to both parties, then the original offer as changed becomes a binding agreement. Because the original offer is incorporated by reference, only the counter offer needs to be signed to bind the deal, even if other pages, exhibits weren't signed or initialed. Once signed and delivered, the counteroffer locks the deal in and it pulls the rest of the original offer with it. This is why clean paperwork is critical. D, clean copy of agreement. This says either party can later request a clean combined version of the full agreement, the original offer plus the counteroffer changes. It also tells you to include the special stipulation 622 conformed copy of agreement when you do that. Dates in the clean copy should reflect the real binding dates, not the date the clean copy was resigned. You can create a neat merge version later for clarity, but it shouldn't change the true contract dates. E, terms and conditions. This is the fill-in-blank section where you list the changes. Any section left blank or marked NC for no change is not part of the counteroffer. Those unchanged terms stay as written in the original offer. Only the sections you fill out are changing. Everything else stays the same. Purchase price and closing costs. Seller contribution at closing. This is where you counted the price, the seller paid closing costs, or both. Closing and possession. Closing date, possession either at closing or the number of days after closing at a specific time. If possession is after closing, it tells you to attach the F219 temporary occupancy agreement. Pick the closing date and when the buyer gets the keys. If the seller stays after closing, you must use a temporary occupancy agreement. Holder of earnest money. You identify who holds the earnest money. If the holder is the closing attorney, you must attach an F510 and an F511 to be signed by the closing attorney. If the closing attorney is holding the earnest money, we need the attorney or the holder paperwork too, which is the F10 and F11. Closing firm. This is where you would tell us who is closing the transaction, the name of the law firm. Earnest money amount and timing. You have three options. The amount as of the offer date, the amount within so many days of binding agreement date, or custom. This section sets the earnest money amount and when it must be delivered. Inspection and due diligence. You insert the number of days from the binding agreement date. This sets how long the buyer has for inspections and due diligence. Time limit of the counteroffer. This states the counteroffer expires on such and such date at such and such time. The counter is only good until the deadline. Buyer and seller initial at the bottom of the page. And this is how they both confirm the changes. F, other modifications to the original offer. This is an open section for anything not covered above. Additional pages may be attached. Buyer and seller initial again. This is where you add additional changes such as repairs, deadline, included items, special terms, etc. By signing, both parties read and understood basic acknowledgement they agreed to the counteroffer. If buyer and seller is an entity, if it is a trust, a LLC, or corp, the signer must have authority and include their title, trustee, manager, president, etc. Entities must sign through an authorized person and the signature must show their role. Buyer's acceptance, seller's acceptance, buyer one, buyer two, seller one, seller two. There's more than one seller. This is where everyone signs. And also, if there is more than one signer or more than two signers, additional checkbox here, and you can have additional signers. The brokers would also sign here, the buyer's broker and the seller's broker. The binding agreement date is when everyone has come to an agreement on the terms and conditions of the contract. And this concludes